go low, we go high. Love will win. Grace will win. Humility will win. And kindness will win. I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell.
I didn't see she says I did not see the foul in her message.
The play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time.
That's her in the back.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Straight to a press conference.
So you can pause it right there.
And that's her right there.
That's her in the
picture?
back, and that's the foul. What do you mean you can't?
How far would a head coach go to defend a player after a controversial play crosses the line? For weeks, it looked like the story was over. Coach Stephanie White faced the cameras and described the collision involving Sophie Cunningham as an unfortunate basketball incident, seemingly hoping the controversy would fade away. But instead of disappearing, the questions kept getting louder. Then the story took a dramatic turn. Two alleged pieces of evidence began circulating that could completely change the conversation. First, a previously unseen camera angle appeared online, offering a different perspective on the collision. Then came an even bigger claim, an alleged behind-the-scenes audio recording that supposedly captured conversations about how the situation should be handled publicly. If those materials are authentic and accurately represented, they could raise serious questions about how the incident was communicated to the public. And when commentator Patrick Bet-David discussed the controversy, he reacted strongly, arguing that anyone responsible for deliberately misleading fans should face consequences. But before we get to that alleged recording, let's go back to the moment that started the entire controversy, when Dejanai Carrington collided with Sophie Cunningham and sent her crashing to the floor. The air immediately erupted. Cunningham has built her reputation around toughness, physical play, and giving maximum effort on every possession. But the incident quickly became the subject of intense debate, with fans questioning whether the contact went beyond normal basketball aggression. The aftermath was chaotic. Fans wanted answers, players reacted emotionally, and everyone waited for the post-game press conference to hear how Indiana's coaching staff would address what had happened. Instead, Stephanie White offered a much more measured interpretation.
Force take, 25% force fake, and then you got, yes, it's real, 4.3% time. Your thoughts when you hear a coach like this, who got called out by media, by trying to BS and allegedly trying to protect their player, Sophie, who got a flagrant 2. All the referees agreed that was a flagrant 2. The girl got kicked out, and then she says white privilege, and now she's coming out realizing she was wrong, and she reacts this way. Your thoughts?
Keep in mind, none of them have yet to address the white privilege comments. None of these people, whether it's ESPN, whether it's Metheny, none of them have ever addressed the white privilege tweet. They've all dodged it. And all of the phone hold sideways crew, the Indiana Fever media, the Chloe Petersons, the Hanks, the Tony Easts, James Boyd, none of those 4 stooges have asked them about the white privilege comment since that took place. You hate to see it. I believe somebody asked them in the post-game following directly, but since then, they have not been asked about it.
Interpretation. She emphasized that basketball happens at an extremely fast pace and suggested that viewing the play from different angles could lead to different conclusions. Her comments immediately triggered another wave of discussion because many fans believed the incident deserved stronger condemnation, and that is where the controversy really began to grow. For a brief period, it appeared the story might eventually disappear. The league moved forward, the teams moved on, and the attention shifted toward the next games. But the internet never completely let the incident go. Then an additional video angle began circulating. Unlike the primary broadcast view, the new footage appeared to show the collision from another position on the court. Fans immediately began studying every frame, debating the movement before contact, the positioning of both players, and exactly what happened in the moments leading up to the collision. That footage did not automatically prove every allegation being made online, but it changed the conversation because viewers were suddenly looking at the incident from a completely different perspective, and that created an even bigger question. If additional footage was available to the coaching staff and league officials, how much did they actually know when the original comments were made? That question became the center of the controversy. Critics argued that White's public explanation was too dismissive, while supporters maintained that interpreting a fast-moving basketball collision in real time is extremely difficult. The debate quickly became bigger than one foul. It became a discussion about leadership, accountability, and whether coaches should publicly defend their players even when the situation is complicated. And then came the alleged audio. This is where the story becomes even more serious, but also where viewers need to separate verified information from internet speculation. An alleged recording began circulating that supposedly captured conversations about how the controversy should be presented publicly. If authentic, such a recording could completely change the narrative, but unless the audio is independently verified, it should not be treated as definitive proof of a coordinated cover-up. Still, the allegation alone was enough to reignite the entire controversy. Suddenly, fans were asking questions that had seemed settled weeks earlier. Was the original
All of this.
Amen.
All the WNBA had to do is we test everyone for their DNA, for what you are. It's not a hard test to do. You can do it with a swab. You can do it with many different ways to find out what you are. And we are an organization for women only. But because the WNBA wants to play politics and try to win the woke and all this other stuff, they're getting, destroyed right now, and well-deserved. My speculation, like I said the other day, is I believe the WNBA has a bigger problem. I believe the WNBA currently has multiple men that play in the league that they're worried if that gets leaked, it'll be embarrassing. Wow. It'll be embarrassing. Speculation. This is not for a fact. Speculation that either currently or in the past they had it. They don't want to bring it up. And they're worried if that does take place, how bad it'll be for them. Adam.
I'm excited for the WNBA. I mean, we're living in an eyeball culture. Attention wins. They're getting the attention that they deserve. And you know how we say the future looks bright here? I believe the future looks bright for the WNBA. 2027 is going to be the best year in the WNBA history. Why? They already have two of the most brave, beautiful women that have declared for the WNBA draft. I'm talking about these beautiful, courageous women, NS Freedom and Royce White. Beautiful, brave women who potentially, hopefully, could get drafted by the WNBA. And tell me, who doesn't want to see something
We talked
like that
about
happen?
this last week. It's not going to happen. I want you to...
Why won't it happen?
I want you to specifically have anything to say about this coach or not. If not, we'll move on to the next
Look,
story.
the coach is prioritizing the agenda over the player.
Yep.
You think she cares about the player? Maybe. But trust that. She cares way more about this agenda. You know who I actually got to give credit to? That I very rarely give credit to? Do you know Jason Whitlock? Remember this guy?
Yeah.
And anytime there's an argument, I'm more on the Stephen A side than Jason Whitlock. But I'll give him credit. He goes,
Was the original explanation simply a coach protecting her player? Was it an honest interpretation of a difficult play? Or was there something more happening behind the scenes? Those are the questions that transformed an ordinary basketball controversy into a much larger story about trust. Because once fans believe they are not getting the complete story, rebuilding that trust becomes incredibly difficult, and that is why the alleged recording could become the most important development yet. The video created questions, the public comments created suspicion, but if the audio is ever authenticated and shown to contain what critics claim it contains, that could take the controversy to an entirely different level, and that is where this story stops being just about one collision on a basketball court and becomes a much bigger conversation about transparency, accountability, and the responsibility that comes with leading a professional sports team. Then, according to the allegations circulating online, someone on the inside may have finally decided they had seen enough. Frustrated by what they believed was a lack of accountability, an anonymous source reportedly released a muffled but partially understandable recording that was said to come from a private meeting. If authentic, the recording could add an entirely new layer to the controversy. The audio allegedly captures members of the organization discussing the growing public backlash and worrying about how the situation was being perceived. But the most serious part of the allegation is what supposedly happened next. Instead of focusing on accountability for the controversial foul, the people in their recording allegedly discussed how to control the public narrative, minimize the incident, and protect Dejanai Carrington from additional consequences. Those are extremely serious claims, and without independent authentication of the recording, they should be treated as allegations rather than established facts. But that did not stop the clip from spreading rapidly online, and once the alleged audio reached Patrick Bet David, the conversation became even louder. Bet David is known for emphasizing leadership, transparency, and accountability.
Shame that we can't have an opportunity to talk about what great basketball they're playing. Because they are playing. The hate, the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league will not win. It won't win. We are united. We are connected. We will not be divided. day these women put their ass on the line. Every day. When they go low, we go high. Love will win. Grace will win. Humility will win. And kindness will win. I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell.
We will go high. Love, grace, humility will win. And then you tell everybody to go to hell. You think that's going to work for you, Coach White? Think that's going to work for you? The reality of the situation is none of that stuff will win if it's left up to you, Stephanie White. Because you're not handling it right. You playing right into their hands. Right into their hands. Because you're not embracing the reality of the tense situation that the WNBA and especially you as the coach of the Indiana Fever is involved in. There are folks in Indiana at a home game booing you. You ain't the road team, you the home team, you the home coach, and they booing you. And Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark can speak up for you all they want to, as they did, and as they should have. But that's not going to be enough. Sophie Cunningham here, our locker room in there. It's tight and we have each other's backs. She didn't see the clip. Coach loves us. She didn't see the clip, and that's okay. Me and Steph are great. Steph is great with all of us. And so it's really the outside noise that's trying to distract us, but we're good. Before I go any further, let me say this. How are you the head coach on the sideline during the play, covering the game, or coaching the game, and you didn't see the play? I'm just asking. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm like, what do you mean you didn't see the play? You not watching? We saw it. You coaching the game. Up and down the court. It's your job to coach the game, watch the game. How did you not see the play? But that's neither here nor there. Caitlin Clark comes out. It's tough, like, that's my head coach. I hated that our fans booed her before the game. That made me a little sick, to be honest. That's our head coach. And we're going to ride for her, and we're always going to have her back. I just love her, and I feel for her because I know it can be a lot of times, and she does a great job a lot of times blocking the outside noise out. But there's other moments where it can get under your skin, and that's just being human, and that's just life. Congratulations. What a statement, saying absolutely positively nothing. See, if this were the men, we would not only be asking, we would be demanding.
So he immediately focused on the bigger question: what happens when an organization loses the trust of the people watching it? During his discussion, he reportedly broke down the alleged recording piece by piece, examining the language, the context, and what the conversation could mean if the audio were proven genuine. His argument was straightforward. If an organization knowingly attempts to mislead the public about a serious incident, the issue becomes bigger than one basketball play. It becomes a leadership problem, and that is where the pressure on the Fever organization would become enormous, because fans aren't simply asking whether a foul was too aggressive anymore. They're asking whether the people responsible for protecting players and maintaining the credibility of the organization handled the situation properly. Bet David's strongest criticism centered on accountability. He argued that if the recording were authenticated and actually showed an organized attempt to manipulate the public narrative, the league would have to investigate rather than simply hope the controversy disappears. That distinction matters. Controversial foul can be reviewed. Questionable coaching decision can be debated, but an authenticated recording showing deliberate deception would raise an entirely different set of questions. And that's why this alleged tape has become such a major talking point. The footage created one debate, the coaching comments created another, and now the alleged audio has opened the door to an even bigger question. What happened behind closed doors after the camera stopped rolling? For the people demanding answers, this is no longer about choosing sides between players or coaches. It's about whether professional sports organizations are willing to be transparent when the spotlight becomes uncomfortable, and if the recording is eventually verified, the The consequences could extend far beyond one game, but until that verification happens, one thing is clear. The controversy isn't going away. The alleged audio is spreading. The alternate footage continues to fuel debate. Fans are demanding explanations. And Stephanie White, Dejounte Carrington, and the Indiana Fever organization are now facing a level of scrutiny that would have seemed unimaginable when the original collision happened. What began as a controversial moment on the basketball court has evolved into a massive conversation about trust, leadership, accountability, and the power of public perception. And if even a portion of these allegations turns out to be true, the next chapter could be far more explosive than the first.